Good morning and welcome to Inputting a Global Listing with your Miami trainers. With you today, my name is Christy Denny's. We're going to get started on miamirealtor.com. To input a listing, we'd have to access your gateway. From miamirealtor.com, scroll to the middle of the page and click on the Miami Gateway. Inputting your username and password will give you access to your resource panels. Within your resource panels, we'll be inputting that listing inside of CoreLogic Matrix. To access, click to open the program. I have a few tips for you before you input your global listing. Tip number one, get familiar with the input forms. You can find all of the input forms on the top right-hand corner underneath your name. Find the drop-down arrow and click on it. Within that menu, we're going to click on Help. Once you click on Help, move your mouse to the left-hand side to the Help Index menu. We're going to move our mouse downward until we find the Data Input Forms. Click on the Data Input Forms and then roll down slightly to your first option, Miami Paper Input Forms. From here, you have all of the different input forms and property types that you can choose from. Think of the property that you're going to input into the system and choose the input form. In this example, I'm clicking on RE2 Condo Co-op Townhome Villa. If the property type matches, keep in mind that this is 11 pages. Everything in the red is going to be a mandatory field. So before you input your listing, think to ask your seller of all of the important pertaining information to the listing that you'd have to input. Once you've studied your input form, I have another tip for you. Return back to Matrix and click on My Matrix Dashboard. From the dashboard, I'd want you to get familiar with other out-of-area listings that have been inputted for ideas of how you can better input your own listing. To do so, you can hover over My Search. This will give you access to a cross-property search, which also to the right-hand side will give you access to global regional area search. From here, you can search either a global region, such as Canada, the Caribbean islands, Mexico. As you move through here, pick the global region of interest, or you can begin to type the country of interest. I'm going to begin to type in Ecuador and see how many matches I have, clicking on results. As you move through here, you can find different properties listed in the country of interest. You can click on the MLS numbers to view some of the ideas and input information other agents have used to optimize their listings. This is a great way to study your market, study your competition, and also get great ideas during your input process. Once you've studied, now it's time to input that listing. To do so, we're going to move up into that blue floating bar and we're going to begin the process under the Add Edit section. Click on Add Edit to get started. Once we're inside of the Input menu, to the left-hand side, we're going to click Add New under the word Listings. Once you do so, you're going to pick the property of choice, whether that's a single family / manufactured home for sale, condo co-op townhome for sale, residential rental, residential land boat docks, and as you move through the list, you'll find the property type. Now in this example, I'll go ahead and click on condo co-op townhome sale. Once under the Add a New Cross-Property Listing note, you have a few different ways to input a listing. Since we're interested in inputting a global listing, click on the third option, Out of Area or No Tax Folio. This will override the tax auto pop and search below. From here, you're going to follow the input process, moving from MLS rules notice to status, location information, general information, remarks, rooms, additional information, finance office information, and then you'll be ready to activate. Let's get started on MLS rules and notice. Effective August 17, 2024, MLS rules and practices have changed from the NAR settlement. You are not allowed to input any referencing, compensation, and/or commission information in the MLS. If you were to do so, first-time violations will incur a $2,500 fine. To find more information, you can visit www.miamirealtors.com/MLS. And for additional resources, toolkits, and educational opportunities on MLS rules and practice changes, you can go directly to www.miamirealtors.com/facts. Once you've reviewed your MLS rules notice, on the right-hand side, click the drop-down arrow and click Yes to agree. Once we've selected Yes, we're going to move into our Status button. Within our Status button, please read carefully and choose your listing status, whether it is active or coming soon. In this example, I will be choosing active. Moving down, you have Display on Internet. If your customer would like to display their listing on the internet, you have the choice between yes or no. In this example, I'll be choosing yes. Moving into the next tab is location information, and this is key if we're listing a global listing. From here, we would change the county. Click on the drop-down arrow and click outside of Florida so that you can input a global listing. Once you've chosen outside of Florida, take a moment and move your mouse to the right-hand side of the screen until you find Area. Click on the drop-down arrow, and you're going to choose code 5990, Global Outside US. Once you do, take a moment and validate your selections on the bottom of your screen. To the bottom left-hand corner, you have the option Save as Incomplete, and then you have the button Validate. Click on Validate to create a new page between location information and general information. We're going to do that now. Once you choose Validate, on the top of your screen, we now can find between location information and general information the global/regional area. You're going to tap and review your options. On the left-hand side of your screen, you have the ability to choose your global region. Your options are listed below: Canada, Caribbean islands, Mexico, Central America, South America, Asia, Central, Eastern, Southeastern, Southern, and Western Asia. We have Australia and Europe, Eastern, Southern, and Western Europe, South Africa, Africa Other, and other Pacific Islands. Choose your global region. In this example, I'll be choosing Central America. Once you've chosen Central America, the drop-down arrow under Country will reflect the Central America countries. You can choose from Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, or Uruguay. Select the area of interest. In this example, I'll be choosing El Salvador. Once you've picked your country, you can add in additional information such as the country region, the country city, and then you have an acknowledgement at the bottom. In this example, I'll add in Central Region and the country city. Once I've applied my information, I do have a global acknowledgement that I need to select. I'm going to select Yes and review the acknowledgement. Your acknowledgement confirms your capacity to participate in real estate activities, either as a licensed practitioner or in partnership with licensed individuals within the property's jurisdiction. It also demonstrates your agreement to adhere to all applicable laws, ordinances, and regulations governing real estate practices locally, statewide, at the federal level, and internationally, all in which are crucial for ensuring the legality, ethics, and accuracy of the listing. Once I've selected yes, I'm going to validate again, and I can move back into my local information and input my information as usual. Now return to your listing once your global regional area has been inputted. Go back to add in your location information, your general information, remarks, which include your description of the property, room details, additional information, and financial office information as you would. At the bottom of this page, you are then ready to either submit the listing to activate or save as incomplete so that your office may activate it for you when ready. Additional tips regarding global listings. From miamirealtor.com, keep in mind that you have a global resource center. Clicking on global will give you access. As I move through here, you have global partners. You can find Global Property Exchange. Miami Global's Property Exchange features Miami partner properties, searches worldwide, all in one platform. The only initiative of its kind. It generates additional exposure for Miami and Miami partners and Miami partner property listings by compiling links to public-facing property portals and offering wide promotion to members, consumers, partners, and business enterprises. Participating partners, including those without public-facing property portals, agree to feature our Miami property searches, residential and commercial, on their websites. Keep in mind that you have available here Canada, Toronto, Brazil, Greece, Hong Kong, Israel, Panama searches, and below you also have the Miami Global partners that are promoting Miami property searches, which includes Argentina, Australia, Austria, Costa Rica, France/World, Italy, Lebanon, Mexico, Serbia, and Spain. So if your customer is asking, how are my properties being promoted? You can mention they are being promoted globally. Returning to our global resource panel, you can find global products and services. From here, you have access to the international MLS. This will also showcase your listing on a global scale. If you're interested, you can click on the international MLS. We have a short commercial, and you have fast access information to the right-hand side. You can visit your Miami Gateway dashboard, click on the IMLS icon, and you'll be automatically logged into your IMLS dashboard. Once you've located IMLS, you can click to access the program and follow the steps to get started. The benefit is once the property has been inputted into the MLS, it will automatically feed into the IMLS program. What you'd be doing here is you can update your agent directory listing within your member area if you'd like to add additional exposure. But once inputted, the property will be available for view on a global scale. Thank you for inputting your global listings with your Miami trainers. Thank you for being a Miami and Our World member.